Yeah, I want to welcome you to Babylon-Singularity. I am your host, Peter Herder, and today I want to walk you through a few ideas that might be new to you. So you have some idea about who I am. I wrote a book in 2009 titled Babylon. In that book, I traced the narrative of the city of Babylon from Genesis 11 to Revelation 19. From when man first reached up into the heavens in Genesis 11 to when that dream burns in Revelation 19. You see, Babylon is a city-centered global empire. Babylon arises as the world's center of economics and politics. But more than that, it is a demonic strategy to intoxicate the world and to bring them to the point where they wholeheartedly welcome an Antichrist ruler. One of the crucial findings from my book is the seduction of Babylon. I mean, what would it take to so intoxicate the nations that they are seduced into welcoming the most evil man in history? Well, the most simple way I can describe it is with the word transcendence. The seduction of Babylon is transcendence. And here's what I mean. Since the Garden of Eden, Satan has been duping humanity along the same line. The serpent promises Eve, "You will be like God," in Genesis 3:5. And the Tower of Babel is really just an extension of what was offered in the forbidden fruit of knowledge. To become like God without relationship with God. Something basic needs to be understood about the Tower of Babel story. Now, when most of us hear it, we think, what's the big deal? Why does God hate human architecture? Well, the answer to that is simple. He doesn't. So then why does he stop it? Well, the reason God stops the Tower of Babel is because they actually weren't just trying to build a simple tower. They were trying to do something much more profound. They were trying to build a gateway. The name Babel means gateway of the gods. They were attempting to transcend into the heavens, into the realm of the gods. How were they going to get there? They would build a tower so that they could enter into heaven through this gateway. So when God looks down and sees humanity building this tower into heaven, this gateway of the gods, he says two things about this. In verse 6, he says, this is only the beginning of what they will do. Or to put it another way, this is only their first attempt. If they are not stopped, they will try again, and again, and again. And they will also improve their methods. The Lord says this, that nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible to them. Think about that for a second. Anything the human mind can imagine would become possible? God says that human beings will continue to improve their methods through technology until they could achieve their dream of building a gateway of the gods. So when God sees humanity building a gateway of the gods, and he says, if I don't stop them, they will eventually succeed at what they're trying to do, the Lord, in his great wisdom, disrupts the entire agenda of the Tower of Babel. How does he do that? The Lord confuses the languages. He breaks the communication lines between people. Well, that was then, and this is now. With advances in communications technology, mankind is on the verge of completely reversing the effects of Genesis 11. The languages that God confused in Genesis 11 are all beginning to communicate with each other again. And once again, the world is becoming one people with one language. The Tower of Babel was humanity's first attempt at corporate transcendence. What did it look like back then? Well, it looked like a bunch of dudes with bricks and mortar building a huge temple. It's the 21st century now. We've grown past the ideas of our early ancestors, but we're still pursuing this idea of transcendence. We are still pursuing becoming God without relationship with God. The pursuit of transcendence has a brand new look. This brings us to the technological singularity. So what is the singularity? To put it simply, the singularity is the moment when civilization changes so much that its rules and technology are incomprehensible to previous generations. To understand how this will occur, you need to understand the nature of technological advance. Ray Kurzweil is probably the best known futurist. He is a famous author, computer scientist, and inventor. Over the years, he has made several accurate predictions about advances in technology based on what he calls the law of accelerating returns. This law states that the nature of technological advance is exponential. This means we will experience 20,000 years of progress in the 21st century. To give an example, if I take 30 steps linearly, I get to 30. If I take 30 steps exponentially, I get to 1 billion. That means if I take 30 steps linearly, I get down the hall. If I take 30 steps exponentially, I would walk to the moon and back. If you follow this out into the future, there will come a point when technological change will become so rapid that predictions become obscured. This point in time is what Ray Kurzweil calls the singularity. Using the law of accelerating returns, Ray Kurzweil predicts when we will arrive at human-level artificial intelligence and when we reach the singularity. He predicts, quote, artificial intelligence will reach human levels by around 2029. Follow that out further to say 2045, we will have multiplied the intelligence, the human biological machine intelligence of our civilization 1 billion-fold, unquote. But how will we reach human-level intelligence? Well, in the coming years, advances in the computational processing of big data, Using improved AI methods will yield the ability to digitally simulate a human brain. Quantum computers and the Internet of Things will create a continual stream of advances in the field of neurotechnology. Neurotechnology is any technology that has a fundamental influence on how people understand the brain and various aspects of consciousness, thought, and higher order activities in the brain. What is the ultimate goal? It's whole brain emulation, the process of scanning the mental state of a particular brain and copying it to a computer. The computer could then run a simulation model of the brain's information processing, such that it responds in essentially the same way as the original brain and experiences having conscious mind. With the advent of whole brain emulation, we will arrive at artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Human-level artificial intelligence means a machine will be awake and fluidly aware of itself and the world. It will be able to originate its own motives and objectives. It will be able to identify threats to its existence. It will be able to act on its own. It won't be a human consciousness, mind you. It will be synthetic. It will be a simulation of consciousness, but it will be consciousness nonetheless. To illustrate synthetic consciousness, consider what the famed conservative author Charles Krauthammer wrote when IBM's Deep Blue defeated the world champion chess player Garry Kasparov in 1997. In his article titled "Be Afraid," he wrote, "If the speed and complexity of electrochemical events in the brain can produce thought and actual self-consciousness, why, in principle, could this not occur in sufficiently complex machines? If it can be done with a carbon-based system, why not with silicon? The fact is that we will be creating a new and different form of being, and infinitely more monstrous." The fact is that we will have synthetic consciousness, a simulated consciousness, a consciousness that God never intended. And once a machine reaches human-level synthetic consciousness, it will then have the ability to self-improve at an exponential rate. An example of what exponential machine learning looks like is the program AlphaGo. Google's DeepMind developed AlphaGo, which became the top chess engine in the world in just 4 hours. This was the result of pure AI self-improvement or machine learning. Time and computational processes can be accelerated to the point that a machine that has existed for 4 hours can play more chess than every game that has ever been played on Earth, creating simulations that make one day like 1,000 years. This is just one example of how we might expect human-level AI to improve through machine learning.